Fatherhood, yeah, they straight. Nah, I'm good. Got a straight stuff. Philly mama, take them up.
Welcome everyone. My name is Fernando Bernstein. I'm a lifelong martial artist. I've competed professionally in kickboxing and mixed martial arts. I'm a proud father of 2 beautiful children. Here, we're building the strongest versions of ourselves, physically, mentally, and emotionally. We're using martial arts as the vessel to build discipline, integrity, and the resilience that fatherhood demands. Every dad fights a different fight, but we're all fighting the same arena, leading with presence, purpose, and strength. Martial arts goes way beyond fighting. It helps shape the way we think, lead, and move as fathers. This is Fortified Fatherhood. Let's get it, y'all. We're kicking off our first Fortified Fatherhood episode with a good friend of mine, a longtime training partner, great friend, and mentor, my buddy, Miguel here. Miguel's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, father of 2, amazing person, leader in the community. Miguel, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Fernando, thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to be able to join you on the first episode. You're a great friend to me and a mentor as well. To know a little bit about myself, I've been training martial arts pretty much my whole life. I stumbled on Jiu-Jitsu a little bit later in life, in my 20s, but it's shaped my life completely. I think one of the main things about Jiu-Jitsu is that it was preparing me to be a father. Now I'm a father of 2 young daughters, Marina and Monica, and it's thanks to the principles that I've learned from martial arts that I'm able to be a good example for them. So couldn't be happier to be here today.
So how long after the birth of your daughter, how long did it take you to get back on the mats?
Fernando, that's a great question. I think for me personally, martial arts has always been a critical part of my overall lifestyle. And that's one thing that you hear from martial artists. Martial arts training isn't necessarily something you do, it's a lifestyle. So even though I had to adjust to being a new parent, obviously, at first you really don't have the desire to go back to train, or even if you do, you have to stay in the house and help the wife out, basically accept your new role as a father. But one of the things that, because I trained martial arts, I was able to do really quickly was structure my life around being able to get back on the mats. Because again, I knew that if I was off the mats, I was probably gonna struggle, either mentally, emotionally. So martial arts gives me that structure that I need to be able to be a better man, a better father, a better husband. So right after my daughter was born, I made it an effort to structure my life and my schedule to be able to get back on the mats as quickly as possible. And again, when I first became a parent, I think it was one of those things where you have to evaluate everything else that you have in your life. Martial arts was a non-negotiable for me.
Yeah, and that's something, you tell me it's I find it not hard, but it's a kind of a challenging thing for to explain to people, or for people to understand why it is that we need to get back on the mats, that we need to get back into our training. I find it sometimes a little challenging to explain that to people, but it's undeniable the importance of it. So it's like, for someone to understand why it is that you need to get back on the mats when you might have other things going on. It's something that's like rooted in you, and it's obviously, it shows, like on the outside, that it's undeniable, like the reasoning and the results that you get from training. Can you elaborate a little bit on how you feel that Jiu-Jitsu martial arts helps you build that discipline and bring that discipline into your fatherhood, especially having 2 young children?
Just so you know a little bit about myself in regards to discipline, I feel like I've always been self-motivated, somewhat disciplined in the things that I like, but Jiu-Jitsu and martial arts in general just took it to a completely different level. And the reason being is I like training, I like knowing and having the skills that martial arts has given me, but it's also really, really hard. And you're not always having your best day, but you still show up. And I think that's the first thing about discipline that Jiu-Jitsu specifically, more than any of the other martial arts that I've trained, has shown me. The first step is to show up, right? If you don't show up, you can't expect to get better. You can't expect to get that black belt. And sometimes you show up and it's a bad day, but you still show up and you do the things you don't want to do, so you still show up. And having those principles and learning that through martial arts training has allowed me to put those same principles into practice being a father. Because you know how being a father can be harder than martial arts training.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so unpredictable. As a father of two, I have a 6-year-old, I have a 1-year-old. We were talking about that earlier. The 1-year-old is a little ball of energy, and she's so unpredictable. Sometimes she's having a good day, sometimes she's not, but you still show up as a parent, right? At the end of the day, showing up and being there present for your kids is gonna allow you to understand them better, is gonna allow you to give them the right tools so that they can navigate their ups and downs. So if it wasn't for the training and for me pushing myself into showing up in the first place, I don't think I'd be as good of a parent as I feel like I tried to be, right? Or I am. Especially coming from the culture that I come from, where the man goes to work, the mom stays home. And at first I thought that was my role, but then I actually wanted to be there for my kids, get to know them a little bit better. But it's hard. It's really easy to check out. And again, my martial arts training has allowed me to be more present and to be able to navigate those situations a little bit better as a parent.
And that's interesting that you bring up that the Latino, kind of like the, if you will, the machismo,
Yeah.
you know, mindset, you know, and that's growing up, you know, with Mexican relatives as well, and you know, seeing that kind of that mindset, you know, with my uncles, with my grandparents, you know, and I'm sure with your father and your family members, you know, it's really easy to kind of get into that groove of like, you know, you're in this position and that's your only role, you know, and then I think doing jiu-jitsu, doing martial arts in general, it really humbles you, you know, and it lets you get that, at least for me, it lets you get like that energy, that machismo, that you know, that aggression or what it may be, you know, out, and then it kind of like allows you to go home and kind of have that cut out and be that present, you know, disciplined father that your family depends on. Do you think it's safe to say that a lot of the jiu-jitsu and martial arts training that you do, people might think that it's like selfish, that you're doing it for yourself, you know what I mean? But it's just equally, you know, you're doing it just as much for the people at home, for the people that you love. You know, you're filling up your cup. You know, tell me, what value do you think you get from jiu-jitsu that you would love to pass on, or that you love your children to get from you? I know I've seen you bring your daughter to jiu-jitsu tournaments, and that's a beautiful thing. You know, what values that you get from jiu-jitsu would you like to transfer over to your daughters? You know, kind of a legacy.
So I think we've covered a few that are critical to me. The discipline aspect of it is definitely a huge value. Patience and staying calm under pressure is another one. Humility and being humble is another one that we talked about. But I think there's others that I also feel like are key that I want to pass on to my daughters, and one of which is resilience. Things don't always plan out like you want them to, but you have to still show up, and you have to try to find a way to manage that situation. And if not, just learn from whatever that lesson is. So if you're resilient, then you understand that. And as a kid, it's really hard to understand that. And as an adult, it can be, right? So I've really made sure that that's something that my daughter understands. And it's why I take her to competition. I want her to see me struggle. But then I also want her to see that even within that struggle, sometimes I'm able to find the answers, and I might bring back a gold medal. Sometimes there is no medal, right? And you see that in our kids' class, because our kids go to the same class together. Sometimes they get a sticker, sometimes they don't. But if my daughter at first took it really personal when she didn't get the sticker, and now she understands, well, today I didn't get it, but I'm gonna show up on Wednesday, and that might be the day where I get it. So it's that resilience that I want her to learn from training. The other one is, I think, kind of ties back to the taking her everywhere, is that sense of community, because that's what the gym is for me. Like, as much as I love going there and training, I love seeing the people there, because everyone is truly there to help each other out. We're all going through the same battles, like you said earlier in the introduction. So I want my daughter to have that sense of community as well. It's very, very important. At the end of the day, you can go far alone, but you'll go further and faster together, right? And the last thing is respect. I think pretty much every person will tell you that one of the key things that you learn from training martial arts is to respect others, respect your teachers and your professors, your teammates, and just living through that golden rule principle, I think is very important. So I don't want to say my daughter doesn't respect others, but she definitely struggled at times with some people. So again, she's humbled every day when she shows up to train, and it allows her to respect others, because they're going through the same struggle, but they also show up.
What's tougher, man? Is it tougher to train every day, get in there? You know, I know when you're getting your black belt, man, you're just going through the gauntlet with people. Is it tougher to get in there with some of these beasts, or is it tougher to navigate a little toddler meltdown at the restaurant, man? What's? Oh
man, I think for sure it's a lot tougher to deal with those meltdowns. And if I can say a joke, at the end of the day, I can tap someone out at the gym if they're being annoying. You can't tap a 1-year-old out at the restaurant, right? Like, you have to deal with it. And I was telling you before we started, like I dealt with one yesterday, like with my 1.5-year-old. We thought it was a good idea to go to a restaurant and enjoy a nice brunch, and we had to adapt on the go, and it was a quicker than expected, because she wanted everyone's water in the restaurant. And rather than react, we just kind of had to flow with it, you know, like, and that's, again, another principle that I've learned from jiu-jitsu is, I think jiu-jitsu, and the reason why they call it the gentle art, is because it teaches you to flow with the challenges, teaches you to not resist always, right? And thanks to those principles, like I said earlier, they translate directly into being a parent. You have to adapt to certain situations and just flow with your kids. And I feel like when you master that, and it's a tough battle, but if you're able to understand that concept, then it makes it easier on everyone. Everyone's more grounded at the house when things just flow, right? So yeah, I think to answer your question, for sure, tougher to navigate a 1-year-old than 215-pound Pat, even though he's a beast, you know?
Yeah. No, 100%. Last thing, you know, you find that well, we'll just talk about at our gym specifically, because we both train at the same spot, that you find people from all walks of life. You know, everybody's going in there, you know, like I said, everybody's fighting their own battle, you know what I mean, but we're all fighting in the same arena, in the same space. How important do you feel it is to let people know, first of all, the white belt that's just showing up, or that person that's watching this and thinking about showing up, you know, what can you say to them? How important do you think it is for them to just, you know what, for that white belt, just keep showing up? For that person that's thinking about it, just walk through those doors.
I think that's one of the lessons that I've understood now that I'm a black belt. Like my personal journey is, obviously the initial goal was to get the black belt, and then you get it, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit tough to figure out what your new identity is, but I think now my true purpose, especially at my gym, we have a great community, is now I become a role model to the white belt that just showed up, or even some of the upper belts, right? Because I've made it to what we all think is the goal, but it truly isn't. Like, at the end of the day, the goal is to be able to keep showing up in training, right? Or at least that should be the goal. So you mentioned it, and the first step is to show up, keep showing up. Life's gonna throw challenges at you. Sometimes you're going through a high, sometimes you're going through a very low, but it's that community that's gonna back you up. So if you keep showing up, you're gonna achieve those goals at some point when you're ready, right? And that's one of the things about jiu-jitsu that I love. There's no shortcuts. You have to put in the time, and sometimes putting in the time means doing the small stuff, showing up to the boring technique that you don't wanna practice for the 100th time, right? But you have to do it, right? It's part of it. And you do that as a parent too. Sometimes you don't wanna have to read that book because you got home tired from work. But it's those small things that make a huge difference. And like you said, we have training partners that come from all walks of life. Everyone's struggle is different. But I think in that setting at the on the mats is where we can all just become equals, right? And it's fair playground for everyone there. But I feel like as a black belt, my job is to make people understand that. Like, we're all here together, we're all here to help each other, but you have to show up.
So I guess, it's safe to say that, that martial arts has given you a great framework,
right?
An outline, to help guide and navigate you in this crazy situation with raising children. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful journey, But I love, how you can reference, martial arts and have a reference point to kind of help guide you, because a lot of people don't. A lot of us don't, and we'll be honest. A lot of times it's difficult. We say, hey, we're gonna work on our breath work when someone's, when maybe you're grappling with somebody's on top of you, man, you can't breathe, you start panicking, you get anxious or whatever it may be, or someone gets you in a submission that they shouldn't have got you in, you get upset. And we all have our moments, but it's beautiful, especially hearing it from you from such a high level, to kind of like redirect yourself and stay grounded and be there and understand, what the goal is. Martial arts is the vessel, martial arts is the way. Our purpose is fatherhood, man. If you can show us a little technique, a little something that you feel comfortable, something that you can show people can implement quickly, or at least be aware of, a possibility in a street fight, confrontation, something that you've learned in jiu-jitsu, something that people could implement.
Yeah, let's do it.
Miguel's gonna show us one of the most iconic moves in jiu-jitsu. If you guys ever watch UFC or mixed martial arts, you've definitely seen it. He's gonna demonstrate how to do a proper rear naked choke.
All right, so let's go through the technique. First things first, we want to establish control over our partner. So we're going to accomplish that with getting 2 hooks to immobilize the bottom side of his body, his hips. And then we're going to get this seat belt control over his shoulder. So we call it a seat belt because it looks like a car seat belt. Now, from here, we're going to try to attack the neck. If our partner is covering his neck with his chin by tucking his chin in, I need to get under the chin first. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my hand in a corkscrew fashion and just dig into that neck. Once I'm under the neck, I'm gonna look to hide my hand and cover with my wrist. That way, if he tries to take my hand down to alleviate the pressure, he can't. From here, once I've established good control, I'm gonna be getting my other hand, palm towards my face, behind his neck. And then from here, a quick finish. Just squeeze. And there you have it, rear naked choke.
That was tight. I want to say thank you to Miguel for for sharing his knowledge and expertise and showing us how he balances his martial arts training and fatherhood, being an inspiration to himself, to his family, and to others. This is Fortified Fatherhood. Let's get it.
Fatherhood, yeah, they straight. Now I'm good. Got a straight, straight,